Now recently I've had a few golfers come and see me for lessons struggling to control the direction of their golf shots. They seem to be witnessing mainly that push slice with the driver, but it's a bit of a combination between a hook with the irons and also a slice. And most of us think we need to get a perfectly on-plane golf swing to be able to hit the ball dead straight. But what if I was to tell you, if you think that you are completely wrong? There's something else that most golfers seem to forget about or miss in this equation, and it's all to do with the club face and how this moves during your golf swing. So for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. I'm Harry, a golf teacher professional, posting content like this every single week to help you lower your score. So consider clicking that subscribe button if these tips and drills in this video help you lower your scores. Now, the way the golf club face itself works and moves during the golf swing and the way it's positioned is so important to be able to hit straighter golf shots. It is statistically proven and scientifically proven, in fact, that a 7-iron, a club face of a 7-iron, has 75% influence on the overall direction of the golf shot. So that's the starting direction, that's the finishing position, how much curvature, left to right, right to left, you name it. With the club path, the swing path itself only being around 25% influence. And this gets less when it comes to hitting the driver, with only 15% influence. So 85% influence with the club face of a driver, that has the main majority of the influence on where the golf shots are going to travel. So no matter how on plane you're going to be swinging, you're only 25% away. You're only 25%, well, 15 to 25% away from hitting a good shot. Whereas if we can get the club face under more control, that's going to solve most of our problems. That's going to solve 75% to 85%, technically speaking, of our problems, of those hooks, of those slices, you name it. Now, if I was just to hit a couple of golf shots here, just to show you some of the outcomes of what I saw with the golfers who came to see me with this issue, was that they were swinging the golf club really well. As they took the club back, they moved the club face in a way that was causing the golf shots to curve off to the right a little bit, just like that one there. With the odd one as well, where they'd get to the top of the golf swing and they would almost feel the complete opposite movement taking place. They would feel like they're doing the same movement, nice takeaway position on the way back, but as they got to the top, they felt the opposite movement taking place. They felt the opposite reaction taking place on the way down. Now, when you take a look at the numbers on the screen, although they're in green, what you'll notice is a common pattern between the two. All of those numbers are in the plus. Now, at the address position with our lead wrist, this is speaking from the hack motion data, from the actual address position, we should have really a bit of what we call this extension, this plus number that we're noticing on the screen recording from my iPad. But during the golf swing, what should happen is this extension should naturally start to flatten off and then more so go into more of a flexed position as we make our way into the downswing. The two common things from those two golf shots that went way too far left, way too far right, was the fact that at the top of the golf swing and at impact, we were in this extended position here. Extension here encourages the club face to open up. I know what you're thinking. Well, that makes a lot of sense for the golf shot that's gone too far to the right. If the club face is open from this extension here at this lead wrist, the golf shot's going to go too far to the right. But when we take a look at shot number 2, that hooked way off to the left, that's extension as well. So why has it hooked so much? Well, I've reacted there from the top of my golf swing in a way where I've kept this extension, but I've released my hands over. I've allowed the club face to overtake to close things down. So what do we want to be doing instead? Well, we just identified there pretty much that when we get this extension, the club face opens. And we can obviously react to this in certain ways to try and square this up. When we don't time it quite right, club face can be left open or it can get too closed. But I mentioned before how the wrist with this lead wrist should actually work in the golf swing. I mentioned that it should work from an extended position with the grip at the starting point. It should work gradually into a more flatter position here, as we can see on the 3D recording of the model. then it should work into a more bowed action here. Now, why is that the case? If we can allow this wrist angle here to gradually go into a flatter position, look what happens to the club face here. That's more flat now. We can see there is a neutral wrist angle. No extension, no flexion, there at 0. So we take a look at that there, my wrist is completely flat and my club face is bang on square. So to control the club face throughout the golf swing, it's understanding where our hands and wrists are throughout our golf swing. Using the hack motion, it's made things much easier for me to be able to identify where my wrists are moving and how that is controlling the club face and how that's having a major effect on the outcome. So if you're struggling with a right miss and a left miss at the moment and your path is pretty much square, this could be the reason. And the hack motion just makes it easier to identify this issue. If it is extension that you see on the hack motion, not to worry, because I'm going to show you how to get into more of a flexed position. When I take the club back to the halfway point here now, and I just encourage more extension, almost that, yeah, that plus 35 number there, we know that if I was to rotate into the back of the golf ball, that club face is being left too open. So what I want you to do is move the club in a way to this point here that's going to encourage it, if you were to rotate, to come back to square. How would you do that? If you had to set it at this point, how would you set the club? Well, for me to do that, I would allow the club face itself to face more towards the ground. I just encourage my lead wrist here to do this action here, where I'm getting the glove logo on my golf glove to face more towards the ground or the golf ball. That's encouraging that club face to technically close down or get into a more hooded position at the start of the golf swing. And also here, it's encouraging my trail hand here to stay on top of the left, rather than the opposite, where the lead hand here gets on top of the right. You can see that that's the extension, whereas if we do this action here, that's more of a flex position. So we want to favour the feeling of more of a flex position as we take the club back, because when I get down into the golf ball here, look how square that leaves the club face. So there I'm encouraging around minus 15 on that flexion number there. So why is the club face square in that case rather than closed? Well, when we forward our hands to be able to get great compression on the golf ball and improve the strike, we want to forward our hands. Many coaches have said this in the past. Some of the greatest players do this very, very well. All of them do, in fact. Well, to get this forward shaft lean, look what that does to the club face. It actually opens it up again. So what do we have to apply from this position here to be able to square things up? That action there. And that is getting that flexion. We can see from the screen recording there now, it's going from fairly extended to flexed. So if we can allow the body to rotate naturally on the way down, from this set position here, for me it's feeling like I'm getting my glove logo here to point to the golf ball. If I just let my body rotate, that's going to square things up. Yes, we're not going to see the hands as far ahead of the club face at impact as that, but it's better to exaggerate this too much than not doing it enough. This is going to really help you control that two-way miss in your golf game and start to really bring that accuracy in altogether. So when I do this action a couple of times, I could just practice setting it and swinging through. As awkward as this may feel, we can see straight away from taking a look at the hack motion data, I've been able to really exaggerate this into as much as minus 30 in the flexed position. Now that's showing up as red, because ideally what hack motion says is we want to have a gradual decrease of extension as we take the club back and a gradual increase of flexion. I've gone the opposite way there. That's my tendency. I tend to go a little bit too far flex in the backswing, and then I start to neutralize things as I make my way down. Hence why you can see minus 4 being in the green at impact, but minus 30 being too much at the top of the golf swing. Now don't forget, whenever you try this and you see red on the hack motion, you're better off exaggerating this, so as long as you're in the red on the other side, being the minus side on the way back, you're better off doing that. Rather than being red in the minus, on the plus side, just like that one there. You can see, skin the golf ball way off to the right, just no good. Whereas at least the one that I scuffed along the ground went dead straight. Now, if you do want to take a look into the hack motion, you can check out the link in the description below, or use the QR code to the right-hand side of your screen now. It just makes it much easier to check those points, get those correct feels to take place during the golf swing, just so you are controlling, having better control of this club face through your golf swing. How should this work for the rest of the golf swing? Now, when I swing to the very top, all I'm doing here is I'm just trying to gradually increase this feeling here as I make my way up to the top of the golf swing. So I'm gradually increasing this feeling up to the top. So it really feels like at the top of my golf swing, my wrists are getting into more of a bowed position with my lead hand, and it works the opposite with the trail hand, so it's going to be more extended where we get this hinge taking place. Technically speaking, at the top of the golf swing, good checkpoint for this, is when you practice this, you should be able to comfortably take your lead hand off and be able to hold onto the golf club with your trail hand. If you get to the top of your golf swing and it's the opposite, and you're struggling to hold on to the golf club because there's not a lot of hinge here, you'll be able to feel it more in the grip. So allow that to lay off as you make your way up to the top. So for me here, I'm just increasing this action from the takeaway all the way up to the top of my golf swing. So takeaway all the way up to the top of my golf swing. Great checkpoint there is letting go of my left hand so I can just check that I'm allowing the club to rest fully into my trail hand here at the top of the golf swing. So just rehearsing that one more time. Takeaway up to the top of the golf swing. Now during that downswing phase, it's so important to not react incorrectly. So when I say not react incorrectly, remember what I said at the start. That two-way miss comes from the same fault, and the same fault is getting too much extension and opening up the club face on the way back. From here, we either turn the body and we leave the club face too far open, or we do the opposite. We'll then release the club over and close the club face down. Well, now we've got you working in a more closed bias position, more flexion as we make our way into the backswing. We do not want to close the club face more. We want to hold the angle. So we've set the angle up to the top of the golf swing. We want to be able to hold this more and rotate, rather than opening it up, no rotation and flipping through. If we do this action here on the way back perfectly, and then we flip the hands over, we're going to hit it further left. So to be able to hold the angle during the downswing, I'm going to give you a bonus drill for this. So when you get to the very top of the golf swing, all I want you to do is imagine that at impact, you're going to stop. You're going to stop everything as soon as you hit the golf ball. But the key is to be able to add speed. From the top of the golf swing, you're going to hold this angle, turn the body, really fire into the back of that golf ball, not by firing down, just simply imagining you're swinging through, then trying to stop at impact. So watch this, I'll show you two more shots. I'm just going to hit one now, doing that flex position, the good position at the top of the golf swing, and then on the way through, I'm not going to turn the body at all. Let's just see what happens. Haven't turned the body at all, and we see that hook again. That hook ball flight going too far to the left into the trees. My arms carried on for quite some time. My body stalled as I hit the golf ball, or just before I hit the golf ball, in fact. So if I can turn the body, if I can do the opposite, reverse this effect, and get the body to rotate more so, and get the arms to stop sooner, that's going to help me hold this angle. I'm going to add a little bit more tension here to control that club face, but it's also going to force me to rotate my body a lot more. So setting up to the golf ball, I'm just going to hit this golf ball, literally hitting it as hard as I can, but I'm trying to stop at impact. And watch what happens. Straight away, I've been able to keep the face nice and square. At impact, I am -8 in the flexed position. And if you were to replay that face-on view, what you can see there through impact is a really nice controlled movement, keeping my hands ahead of the club face, getting that great compression onto the golf ball, and looking at the impact video on the screen, I've been able to keep that nice and square, just simply by allowing myself to stop at the golf ball. Well, my body rotated a lot more. My arms actually stopped somewhere up here, but it's the feeling of stopping at impact at speed is what's going to allow you to rotate the body more and hold the club face off for longer. This is something that Tommy Fleetwood does so well. He is able to control his body and club movement, and arm movement in fact, just from stopping sooner in his finish. That forces him to rotate the body more and therefore able to control the club face, getting more of this bowed action, pushing the hands forward, and then holding that action by rotating the body more and getting that feeling of stopping sooner. Another shot I've just hit there, very easy to do this, just literally getting to the top of my golf swing and having the feeling that I'm having to stop at impact, but obviously you'll notice on the way through that I stop somewhere here. It's feel versus real. Because we've swung so quickly and we're trying to stop here, we're actually going to stop a little bit further into our through swing. That there has made a huge difference straight away to how I control my club face and therefore hit better golf shots. So you will never be able to hit the golf ball straight if you focus too much on the plane of your golf swing. Most of it is all about controlling the club face itself and your wrist angles. Your hands and wrists are the only connection between you and the golf club. So it's really important that you control your hands and wrists correctly and understand where they are during your golf swing to play better golf and hit straighter, more consistent golf shots. And the hack motion just makes it easier for you to identify whether you're too extended, potentially too flexed, but the most likely one that I've noticed from a lot of my students and golfers that have come to see me is that extended position. Now, if you'd like to get yourself one of these, you can check out the link in the description below and my discount code Harry5, or you can check out the QR code here and scan that if you're watching this on the big screen. I've been using this for a lot of my lessons and also YouTube videos. You may have seen a couple of others in the past. It's an incredible product. I'd recommend it to anyone struggling to control the club face with their irons, but also their driver. Now, if you'd like to see more of content all to do with controlling the club face with driver, I'd like you to comment down below. I'd love to see at least 50 comments down below and I will get a video on that topic, specifically hitting straighter shots with driver done for you. But in the meantime, I did a video a couple of weeks ago talking about this similar wrist setting and how they should work for the driver. And you can check that out by clicking on the video over to the right hand side of your screen. So be sure to click that subscribe button as there's loads more coming your way so you don't miss out on any great content just like this one. And also feel free to click on that one to get the wrists working correctly during your driver swing. Thanks for watching and we'll see you in this one over here.